All right, welcome to episode 17. We're making a pickleball paddle company tier list. This is one of my favorite things to do. We're going to update this quarterly. We did our first one about 3 months ago. So if you want to check out that, go check that out. But we have a link too, so you can come follow along, make your own paddle company tier list, and see where we disagree, where we agree, or whatever your thoughts are. That'd be awesome. We're going to jump into the tier list right now. Let's go. All right, so before we start ranking all these paddle companies, just want to talk about what metrics we're kind of focusing on. We are weighting these a lot on 2024 releases, and with that, we're looking at the technology, the price, and the performance. Those are the main things that we're focusing on. Did I miss anything there, David? Or is any other aspect we're really focusing on, or are those the big ones?
Yeah, those are the big ones. I think mainly for me, I'm going to factor 2024 a lot into it because we've already done a tier list. But we'll probably be doing more of these, and it's going to I'd like to factor in more year by year as it goes on.
Yeah, for sure. We should wait like the most recent stuff. Obviously, the most recent stuff usually is the better stuff anyway, but not always. And we do have some stuff like from some of the companies that we will factor in that isn't publicly released yet, but it's coming out late January, early February. So we're gonna take the stuff that we've had personal experience with and put that into the tier list, so that it's it's going to be a relevant thing here pretty soon. So we might as well include it that with the stuff we do know. But that said, let's jump into the tier list. All right, we're jumping into the tier list, so I will first read off the name of the company, and then I'll tell you what we had for their previous ranking on our tier list and what their new ranking is. So we'll start off with one of the biggest companies in pickleball, one of the OG companies, if you will, Selkirk Pickleball. We had previously a ranking in the C tier list, and currently put them in the C tier list because I feel like not much has changed. They offer a great selection of different price paddles, a lot of different styles of paddles, a lot of good value paddles with their SLK line, and then a lot of paddles that I personally feel are a little overpriced with like their Project 00, their Labs paddles. But they do offer a lifetime warranty for those, so that's an interesting aspect, and they do have really good customer service and warranties. But right now, I don't feel like anything really stands out at the time. Do you disagree, David, or would you still keep it at C?
Yeah, I'm still keeping it at C. So the SLK line, I think that's basically what's holding them together right now.
Mm-hmm.
But even still, they're just cheaper paddles at lower price points that perform probably about the same and even better. So that's tough for them there. And even 2024 releases, I can't really think of many. There's the amped, their upgraded amped, and then they had the 007, and I don't think many of those have taken off.
Yeah.
I don't know. You've hit with the 007, right? But
Yeah.
not the 00.
So I have the I don't have the 008. I have the 10 millimeter 007, and I think it is a better version of the Power Air for those that did like the Power Air, and it definitely needs weight, and it's an interesting, playing with that thin of a paddle it just has an interesting feel, it's it kind of feels like maybe a board or something, and you do get a ton of pop. I don't think it has the most power, but with some different weight setups you probably could get pretty decent power and then combo that with some pop. But I never really liked the feel of a 10 millimeter paddle, so it's not really something that's super for me. But I could see why people like it. But you get that price. It's interesting. I think they actually have the one of the best presentations with it. You get the briefcase. It comes with I think they have tungsten tape and some grip. So at least you, when you're paying for it, you do get an experience. I just wish the price point was a little lower for that experience. But if you compare them to Yola, who charges almost the same price, $280, and the paddle doesn't even come in a cover. At least I do give them compliments on the experience. I wanted to bring the briefcase to the court and just pop out my paddle. I thought that would be. I think I'll wait for the summer. I'll go to like an open play and not bring my bag, just bring the briefcase and like I'm ready to get to work. Let's go.
So when you talk about experience, you make it sound like Salt Bay's coming to the table and like putting salt in the paddle for you. It's like, oh, this is you. This is why the steak's so expensive.
I mean, that's how I feel. I was like, I got it. I'm opening the briefcase. My wife's like, "What are you? What is that?" And I'm like, "Oh, it's a new paddle." She's like, "What?" I'm like, "Yeah, they send it in the briefcase." So, yeah, we'll see. For future 2025, this year, I'll wait till we see if we can get our hands on the 008, and then what they bring. I hope they can. I guess I shouldn't say what I hope. I expect them at least to jump up to the B tier with like one good release because I know they're working pretty hard on the R&D. So if they have a hit, I could see them jumping up, A or S. But like, I'll put it at my prediction at a B tier.
Yeah, I think I'll go B as well. I mean, I've heard everyone switching from the 002 that liked it, the pros, to the 008. So.
Okay.
Yeah, it could be a really good release, but
All right.
we'll see in the future.
Yeah, we'll see how good it is. Next up, we have another giant in the space, Yola Pickleball. Last time we had them at an A. What would you put them at now?
I would still keep them at A, even despite like the bans and everything. Because at the same time, it's like, what's a Gen 3 clone? What is a replacement for a mod? That's like the same thing. And, you just don't have that on the market. Disregarding whether or not they are legal or, all the controversy behind them, it's still like a good paddle for some people. And it's a unique one. It is expensive, but it's still it's a unique release from Yola that no one's replicated yet.
Yeah. Well, I guess you would say too. Now there will never be a replacement for the mod because since it's getting sunset July 1st. Like there never will be anything like it again. So we don't even have to worry about that. I mean, their 3S line super popular. That's it never got USAP approved, but pretty much anywhere allows you to play with it because Yola's so big. They have sponsorship deals with all the clubs. Yeah, nobody cares because there's so many people with them. So I guess it's just I got to include it too, like with that wide variety. And they still don't have a hybrid shape, right?
No,
I got to ding them there. So that's the new rule for me. No hybrid shape, no S tier. But I guess actually I'm probably going to break that rule later, but you got to have I have to have a really good reason for it. But I know they have a new lineup coming out in March, so we'll see how that goes. I don't expect like a major difference from their 3S line because people love it so much. But that could jump them to S tier. Right now with everything going on and some of the uncertainty, we'll wait for our next update. But I predict they'll go to S tier next time.
I can see that, but I guess price is one thing that kind of brought it down for me to A. So, but I can see the next one probably. I mean, it depends on how good the tech is. If the tech is really good, then it can jump.
The price and the durability brought it down to that A tier too for me. Yeah. Just a lot of braking on those. But I know the 3S is better, but still some core crushing issues. Next up, Honolulu Pickleball. And this was an S tier last time for us and still an S tier for me. They didn't come out with a ton in 2024, but they did. I mean, I guess it depends how you look at it. They came out with some really, really solid options, and some great options. Honolulu J2K, I would say, is their flagship paddle, along with the J2TI that was a later release and just, took a lot of awards around the industry, including for my paddle of the year, tied with another paddle. I don't want to say it yet since we haven't talked about the company. And then they have a ton of shapes coming out in different, well, not shapes, but different paddles coming out in January and February, including their first power paddle, which I think is really good. So far, S tier, they got a lot of variety, a lot of solid options, and I think the best part about them too is they keep the price at an excellent price. Like most of their stuff's under
Yeah,
150.
yeah, the price is really good.
So yeah, would you agree there's still S tier?
Yeah, the J2K is basically their flagship paddle, and I think that's one that's really carrying them. I think they did a really good job following all the trends. They had the wide body, so they expanded on their J3 lineup. And then they had the J7, which I think is a bit underrated, but that's still a good paddle. And they did everything from following Kevlar, following the titanium.
Yeah.
They did a really good job there. But in terms of like technology, they didn't really do much. But I still think it's enough, especially with their prices, say in S tier. So I will say for the future, I am slightly concerned if they would stay in S. I'm hoping that they do. But like I haven't tried the power paddles yet.
Gotcha.
But in terms of what they've kind of been hinting at for the future ones, like the J4 and the J2XK, it seems like they're kind of throwing a few random shapes together, like different molds. And I don't know if that's gonna stick. Like I don't think they can really get by with just making different molds. I think they're gonna need to have new technology to like really keep them in that S tier. And I'm hoping the power paddles are good, but
Yeah.
we'll see when they do come out.
Yeah, I agree. Shapes alone aren't going to keep you in S tier. I think the power paddles need to be a success for them to be S tier. If the power paddles are not, they'll probably drop down to A tier.
Yeah.
Yeah. Next up, Rhombus Pickleball. We had them in S tier last time. And this is interesting because there's kind of some news that broke this week on Rhombus. A little information. I feel like it's widely spread enough that we can talk about it because it was originally supposed to be just for like Connect members, but like I think I saw it posted everywhere possible.
I've seen everyone talk about it.
I think Rhombus might have actually said it on their Instagram too. I'm not sure, but who knows? Basically, it sounds like the Ripple beta and production model got approved by USAP. So I guess we will include the Ripple in the tier list discussion. Originally, when we were planning this, we weren't going to include it in the factors since we thought, it's been too long. But it looks like it's approved. When they're going to start selling it exactly, I don't know. But I'll include it. And with that Ripple, I think it's an easy S tier. And then they got a great lineup with the Pulsar FX. And if you really want to go, you're a control freak, you go for the Novas. But the Ripple is going to be, in my opinion, the hardest hitting paddle that will be legal after July 1st. So if that's what you're looking for, I think they're going to have the best option. Would you put them in S tier?
I haven't hit the new Ripple yet. But yeah, that's definitely one of the hardest hitting paddles.
Yeah.
I probably need to run a bit more tests, but I think now I would put it as the hardest hitting one of it so far. And yeah, they still have a good lineup. I think it is like slightly pricier compared to some of these other brands, like 180. Well, I guess it's like about average actually.
It's probably above. I would say it's above average, but just slightly.
I think there's a lot of smaller brands kind of just coming in. That makes it tough. But the Pulsar FXs are still good. Novas are still good. They've got a good lineup. I know you're probably dinging them for not having a hybrid, like a real hybrid paddle.
Yeah, there's actually probably going to be two that I'd put in S tier that don't have a hybrid. I hope he has a hybrid. I would love to play a Ripple in the hybrid shape. I think that would be like my main. That would be. Hopefully, he'll get a hybrid out there. I know he's got.
I think the Ripple. With that, like all that new tech in it, that keeps them in S for sure. I think if the Ripple had been approved by the time of this video, I think it might have been a bit different for this.
I think they would have dropped down to like B for me if they didn't have the Ripple approved. So hopefully, like that news is. I know like everyone's talked about the Ripple so much and so much has happened, but we just got to go with what information we have. So. There we go. Prediction: with the Ripple being approved, stays S tier. That's my prediction.
I'm wondering if they're going to expand on that tech or anything, but I think even just with the Ripple, they can definitely stay S tier for 2025.
Yeah. Next up, Bread and Butter. Last time we had them in A tier, and I said I forgot where the logo was. I said still A tier. I think like they have a really good lineup. They have really quality paddles. Obviously, amazing presentation, great. Not great prices, but not terrible prices. A little bit above average. I think most of their stuff's like 162 after discount. And obviously, it's great style on the paddles. They just don't really have like too wide of a variety, and then I wouldn't say like they do have really quality paddles, but they are missing like a true power paddle now too. Would you put them in A tier still?
Yeah, I think they just have like really good marketing, and also just their unboxing is they have that Salt Bay experience. Like you get to open the box, really nice presentation. They did a good job following the trends as well. Got the Fat Boy in during the wide body trend, and then they were actually the ones that started polyester. So
That's true.
that
That's
was
true.
nice. And then what was it? The Invader. That one I really liked too.
Ooh,
That's like
yeah.
a really good all-core one. Yeah, all their paddles are really solid. They just don't really have anything unique technology-wise to them. But you know, I feel like for them, they don't really need to. I think they're happy being like an A-tier company.
Yeah, I think they're fine. Like they just truly live to their branding and stuff.
Yeah.
I predict they'll just stay in A tier for the year. I think that.
I think yeah, they'll probably just follow some other trend. Maybe they'll get like a power paddle that's like similar to one that's already out there, and then probably use that to like stay in A tier.
I could see them getting like if someone cracks the code on the Paddletech core, maybe doing something with that. But I feel like they won't go into the foam core just because they don't want to mess with braking issues. But
Gotcha.
I could be. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Next up, Groovin. We had them at A tier last time. Did they change for you?
Yeah, I would drop them because their only releases really were they went Kevlar with the lasers, and then I think they had a Gen 1.5, but that was about it. And I don't think their Kevlars. You might have more experience with them, but I've heard they're just like, not too much different from the other Kevlar paddles that did come out. And I want to say they are a bit pricier. The one thing that they have is they have a lot of like different molds and shapes, kind of like Honolulu. But I don't think there was like one paddle they had that like really stood out in 2024. So I think I would drop them down to B.
Yeah, I would agree. The Kevlar paddles are fine if you like their Kevlar paddles. Like they just came out with the hybrid, and it's good. And nothing stands out to me. The prices are a little bit on the higher end. They're around the bread and butter and rhombus prices, and then they do have they have the cruise in line, the Gen 1.5. That those are fine too. But not everyone, but other people have them as well, and those are actually pricier than the other competitors. So drop them down to B. I mean, honestly, I feel like they're gonna stay B. I feel like they're not. They are one of the slower ones to innovate. And it's kind of hard playing catch up. Like once someone gets something they like, they kind of tend to stick with it. And if you're like a late adopter, you're not going to really convert people to follow over to you. Yeah. So if you're not going to lead with the innovation, I just feel like it's hard to grow into the A and S tier right now.
Yeah.
Next up, we have Spartus. We had them at S tier last time. I said that they're still S tier. Based on their high quality paddles and good prices, especially the Spartus Olympus, my other paddle of the year and one of my favorites. Obviously the Apollo was really good. I just going forward, I just worry that they're focusing so much on these individual launches and they don't do that many of them, that they could fall behind if they don't keep hitting. And also it takes them so long between paddles, and they only come out with one shape at a time. So kind of things I would like to see in the future is when they launch, even if it's just one technology, come out with all three shapes. That would be nice. I'm sure if there was a wide body of Olympus, people would love that. Including me, I might love a wide body Olympus. What do you think about that? S
Yeah,
tier.
I would put them at like the bottom of S tier
Bottom.
right
Yeah.
now. I think since we did the last video, they haven't done much because the Olympus was already out at that point,
Mm-hmm.
and the Olympus and Apollo were basically their only two big releases in 2024. And yeah, I would just ding them a bit for variety.
Mm-hmm.
Their pricing, I think, is fair. It's a good price. But yeah, I have that same concern where moving forward, they don't like come out with a lot of different shapes at the same time, which I think would be really helpful for them.
Yeah.
And their releases do have like a lot of time in between them. And every time they've made a good release, so I anticipate that they will stay in S. But like you said, if the next release doesn't hit, we're gonna have to wait a while for the following one to come, and then that could be a concern if the next one isn't that great.
Yeah, that is hard too when you're only doing like you said, two releases in a year, and if you miss on one, especially you miss on that first one, ooh, that puts you that puts you so far behind. Uh,
Yeah.
we'll see. I expect news on their next launch pretty soon, but we'll see. We got next 6-0. We had them in S tier last time.
Yeah.
What did you say about them this time? Because I feel like not a lot's been happening over at 6-0.
Yeah, I gave them S tier last time because that was more of like an overall thing, and
Mm-hmm.
then they popularized the hybrid shape, which is why I gave it such a high rating. And even now, I still think the double black diamond is a fantastic paddle. But because we're waiting in 2024, that this was basically what the Ruby. No, Ruby was even 2024. It was like the was it the Infinities, and then they had the Willinator.
Yep.
Um,
Quartz,
yeah,
Sapphire. I think they did have a Ruby Infinity. I guess I haven't tried that one. Can't imagine it's anything.
yeah. I just don't think after the double black diamond, they haven't really done like a really big flagship paddle really they haven't really come out with any new technology to my knowledge. Like they've been kind of just messing around with the bolts a bit and then getting into the beginner market. But I would actually drop them down to B right now,
I
uh,
yeah.
just based on that.
I agree. I mean, like just the releases in 2024 were very lackluster. The only thing I'll say is like the Sapphire is one in the. I guess the Quartz are both like some of their cheapest paddles, and the Sapphire is a decent elongated. The Quartz, nah, just a. I think it's a Gen 1 wide body. Nothing special there. Might as well get a Jelly Bean or a Prism Flash at that point,
Exactly.
or even like the new Honolulu C2. But
Mhm.
yeah, B tier, and I think that they'll go back up this year. I know that I'll put them above Reuben probably. You think that's fair?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think they have potential to go up, and
Oh,
out of a lot of these like lower tier companies,
yeah.
and I anticipate an A tier for the
An
end of the
A
year.
tier? Okay. I mean, they've done it before, and I know they're capable of trying new things and leading in innovation. So I have hopes for them this year. I just don't know why they kind of like took the year off,
Yeah.
or maybe they thought what they were doing was leading. I don't know. Nothing special though. Pro XR last time C. Really not much has changed. They've had some like limited edition releases, like limited runs. I feel like a limited run shouldn't even count because like if you're doing a limited run, it's not going to stick around for the future usually. So
Yeah.
how do we factor that in? And they have two shapes and two thicknesses, right? They got a wide body and a elongated. I don't think they have a hybrid, and they're
Yeah.
okay. They're okay. Um,
They have the Zane's paddle, so that I think that's the only thing when I think of Pro XR, I think of like Zane with like that 6-inch handle,
mm-hmm.
and then they have the standard shape, and then I think Connor Garnett has like a hole in this paddle now, like a throat hole.
They're super expensive too. Super
Yeah,
expensive. Like 220, I think 230.
yeah. It's funny. It's like they're such a big brand, but I don't know about you. I never see people use them around here.
I've I don't think I've ever seen anyone using a Pro XR. Uh, which is odd because you're like it's always on the sponsor. It's been a sponsor like PPA, other stuff, and pros using it for a while, and yeah, I never see it. But yeah, prediction in the future, I think they'll go up a little bit because it sounds like they're bringing in now that Pro XR and PaddleTech are under the same company, I think they'll bring in some PaddleTech technology. So I guess it's not cheating since they're the same company, but like they'll probably go up because they'll bring in the PaddleTech company and just.
But isn't their new paddle is basically the PaddleTech, like the paddle Bantam clone, and then
is that the one Riley Newman's using now, or they're all their pros are using it?
Oh, I didn't follow the pro.
Or maybe is it out already?
I think it's unreleased right now.
Okay.
But I think someone open. I forgot whose podcast I was watching, but it's basically a paddle tech, but with like more of that putty, and I think another one of those like fishing weights there. So
okay,
it's more expensive than the paddle tech, and then they're just adding more weight on the sides. So
pre-customized for you, I guess.
Yeah, I'd rather just get a paddle tech. So yeah. I don't know.
All right, we'll see. Gamma, we had them at B previously.
Yeah, I would drop them down. Like, they had the Airbender, which isn't a bad paddle. I think you've probably hit that one more than I have, but
yeah,
they
expensive.
Haven't really done much on that.
Yeah, I know. I don't even think their other one when it came out in 2023, their Obsidian. I don't know if that came out in 24 or not. Either way, nothing really special. The only good thing, like that they were trying to, I'll give them credit for is they were doing the weight cap. So like they had the weight cap in the bottom of the handle and in like the throat. So that's cool that they actually were they weren't including it. It was an add-on, so it was even more expensive. But I like that they were offering you that option for the people that like to put weight in the handle, because like dealing with the slice caps is really a pain. Like it's not just for like a regular person, but for reviewers like trying to take that in and out. But I think it's a pain for people too, because like if you don't like it, it's not like a simple process to take that thing in and out. Like you know if you're trying to do that at the courts and mess around. So hopefully more companies include that in the future. I think they will, now that it's catching popularity. But I don't know what they've been around for a long time. I don't know. Like I imagine they got something cooking. I'm gonna predict B tier for next time for the end of the year.
Really? Okay.
I don't know. I don't have much hope. They haven't really innovated besides the weight thing, but like the paddle technology itself, they haven't really innovated with.
Yeah, I don't know. I would probably keep C, but we'll see.
Okay, we'll see. Next, we have Onyx. D last time, probably D this time. I don't even know if they had a launch in 2024 or they just had different color schemes.
Yeah, even whenever I go on the Onyx website, I'm just like, I don't really know what any of these paddles are. It just seems like they look a lot like the Chinese like Amazon brands.
They probably
like
are. Probably the same owner.
Yeah. They peaked at the Z5, so they're stuck there.
Actually, I haven't seen a Z5 in a hot second. I can't actually remember the last time I've seen one or heard one. That's when you know.
I haven't been to like public open play.
That's probably where you would find it. To be honest, I don't know if I still have mine. I think I sold it because I was like, I'm never playing with this again. Babolat, we had them at C. Put them in D because they haven't really done much. I think they had one launch all of 2024, and expensive. Spray on grit.
Yeah, spray on grit.
That's all I really need to say. Expensive spray on grit, no like crazy performance. I'll put them above Onyx because at least they had a release, but I don't know. I don't know what they're doing. Like they have a lot of money, so I wouldn't, from tennis, I wouldn't be surprised if they could jump in. I just don't know if they want to. So
yeah,
I won't be surprised. I won't be surprised.
It's like with like Babolat, they're just like, oh, people with their brand name, they're just gonna buy us anyways. Mm-hmm. I mean, I almost did that the first time I got into pickleball, so I can see they don't really need to innovate, so they're happy being a D tier. No one's gonna watch this video anyways. It's fine.
I could, no one from Babolat will watch, but maybe they will. Anyway, I think they could do a lot better. let's talk, Babolat. I know Rose over there. Phone line's always open if you're looking to talk. Next up, we got Carbon. Did C tier last time. They still haven't done anything. We can't talk about the True Foams to our knowledge, so we won't factor in the True Foams to this performance. Their Carbon 1X, 2X, 3X, still a really solid line. Solid paddles.
But they came out in 2023, right?
Oof.
2022, 2023.
Oof.
So I might put them in D just because of that.
You put them in D?
Well, they technically didn't have a release in 2024.
I think they had I think maybe the Thomas Wilson signature 12 millimeter paddle came out in 2024. If you want to count that, I did like it. Their paddles are good enough. I gotta put them in. I think C tier they gotta be in because they're still solid. It's just they've been working on these True Foams for so long. So next update, we'll have something in the True Foams factored in there. And I mean the True Foam. Reviews are coming out by the end of January. Just unfortunately, embargo on that, so we don't want to give anything away on those. That's all we'll say on that. Diadem. We had B last time. Where would you put this bad boy this time?
I would still say B this time. What did they have? They had the Hush, which is I don't even know if we should factor that into our.
Yeah, it was something fun, I guess.
Yeah, it's a fun battle. But the Icon Infinity Pro, like the edgeless ones we tried, I think those aren't bad. They're probably one of the better edgeless paddles out there. But then, like in terms of what are their pros using? What is it, like the 18K stuff, which is okay. So overall, like they do come out with like new like stuff. They do try to innovate, but they are a bit on the pricier end and. Some of their stuff doesn't really hit, but I do some props are trying.
Yeah, and I like the edge guard changeable colors on the Infinities. I think those are cool. Gives you a different like weighting system for the edgeless paddles, and if they made like heavier options, it would be nice. But also gives you a ability to customize your colors while adding the weighting. So that's a cool factor.
Yeah.
I would like to see them do that more. Also, obviously, add that hybrid shape. I guess kind of like I think their shape. I think actually is like 16.4 inches. Like what they call their elongated. So I guess you could call it a hybrid. A lot. Like I still feel like 16.4. It's kind of an elongated, right? Like, but if we get technical. I guess you could call it a hybrid. I would like to see like a 16.2 or 16.3 inch paddle. But I have hopes for them because it looks like they are really good at innovating. So I think they could have something that ends up being a smash. I could see an S tier. I could see staying in B tier. I wouldn't be surprised either way.
Yeah, they definitely have like a lot more potential compared to like Babolat or Gamma.
Yeah.
Because they have been trying stuff out.
Yep. That's all I like to see. At least you're willing to try stuff. Like if you don't try, we know for sure you're not going to do anything. Like if you try, you never know. Engage. I'll let you cook on this one. Last time we had an A tier.
Yeah, I would drop this one down to B. They had the curved pursuits, and I think those are fine. Like that was a good addition, but they're basically just hanging on to like the pursuit core, which has been good for a long time, and it still is good, but there hasn't really been much innovation beyond that. Value-wise, yes, they are pricey, but they do have a lot of sales. There just wasn't many big major releases in 2024, so I'm just going to drop it down a little bit.
All right. I agree on all of that front. Yeah, Engage is an interesting one. I won't be surprised if they go up to S or if they just kind of like continue to like make small changes to their lineup and stay at B and maybe fall down to C. They're an interesting one. Sometimes I feel like I see a lot, and then lately it's definitely not been seeing as much. Just probably because they haven't been innovating as much lately, but still solid. A solid lineup.
Yeah, I probably see them staying in B. be funny if they started like getting into Kevlar like 2025, like way beyond everyone else.
Guys, we have Kevlar now.
But the same Pursuit core. Now we're just changing the face.
I think Kevlar is actually kind of like a dying breed of material. I don't know. That well, maybe we should have had we did have a prediction podcast, but that doesn't matter. Electrum, we had them in C last time. They haven't done any. I don't even know if their stealth. I don't actually think they had a release in 2024. I think the stealths were released in 2023.
Yeah, I think that was a 23 release.
Like late 20. Yeah. Either way,
like
it's been a long time since Electrum's done anything.
Yeah.
And you used to see these on the court, but I don't think I've seen one in a hot second. And that's probably because, you know, once someone gets done with their Electrum paddle, they're like, what's Electrum done lately? And they're like, nothing? Let me try one of these other brands that's actually doing stuff right now. So
yeah, after the Model E, they didn't really have many big releases that were people really enjoyed.
Yeah. Yeah. Not much more to say on that one, I guess.
I don't think they'll really go anywhere next year. I feel like they're kind of dying.
I think they might be off the list. They might just be irrelevant. They're kind of irrelevant now. People want. I don't think anyone would argue leaving them off. Probably get like one Electrum fan in there. Next up, PaddleTech. We had them at B tier last time, maybe an under ranking. Where do you think we should put them this time?
It's in between A and S for me. They really came back like 2024 with like a lot of big releases. Like the ESQs are very good, the TKOs. I think because of that, I want to say low S, but price was an issue, and like they do have like smaller sweet spots, but at the same time, like people have been chasing PaddleTech. Like there is no true PaddleTech clone. Like there's no like paddle that has that same feel as them. So because of that, I think I want to say low S for now.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, obviously, I would probably actually go above Spartus too here.
Yeah.
They like. There's just nothing like the ESQC 12.7 on the market or the Anna Water 12.7. There really isn't something that matches that performance and the longevity. Like they just last longer than the Gen 3 foam cores. Like they don't break as fast. Actually, I don't know if anyone has. I guess I don't know what would break on it. Maybe like every of these polymer cores will eventually just not hit as hard or die, but like I don't think I've heard any core crushing issues with them.
Yeah, so, I've never heard anything.
Yeah, so that's another like huge benefit is like compared to the Yola 3S or the Gen 3S, you don't have to worry about the core crushing issues, and I think they do have a lifetime warranty as well on the PaddleTechs. I want to say, pretty sure that's true. And then, of course, they're out of Michigan, so maybe they get a little hometown bias. I don't know. But, yeah, I think that they're in S tier. I think that they'll probably stay in S tier because it sounds like they're basically upgrading that Anna Waters and ESQ with some enhancements. And if they make that paddle even better, I don't see why they won't stay in S tier for the year.
Yeah, I see staying in S tier, honestly.
Yeah. I imagine it's more of like a sweet spot enhancement. Like I don't think you want to increase the pop and power too much because it probably is like already around that limit for the PB core testing. But if you can increase that sweet spot, and I think the pop and power is like probably already in a great spot for a lot of people.
For sure.
Yeah, I think it'll be a hit. Pro Kennex. We had them at D tier last time. Do you think they are still D tier or no?
Did they even come out with anything in 2024?
Not in 2024, but I guess they do have the recent release in 2025.
And then and now they're 2024, like they're whatever their black ace, which I don't think was even 2024, but like that's not even legal anymore. So I'm gonna have to keep them in D. Yeah, because I guess we can't factor in their new release right now, but they they also have that claim of anti-vibration technology to help tennis elbow, which I'm not really sure if that's true, but that's basically what's I think keeping people coming to them is that claim right there.
Yeah, I really wish I don't know if they have scientific studies on their vibration elbow tennis elbow reduction technology, but I'll tell you when I play with the Black Ace, I got my tennis elbow like I get it from time to time, and I got tennis elbow from playing with the Black Ace. Like my elbow hurt after playing with that, so I mean, obviously that's just a first-hand experience. Can't take that for like to the bank. Maybe it's just me, but I feel like if that's really like, and obviously that could like if you have a paddle that actually reduces tennis elbow, it's a big problem for a lot of people. Fine,
Yeah.
that's good. But like, yeah, now you lose all your Black Ace lineup in July 1st, and you have the new stuff, but it sounds like the new stuff's like more control oriented. So
Yeah,
you're
that's
not,
what I've heard.
yeah. So you're not even going to have like a paddle that's similar to your most popular paddle. And it took them like 2 years to come out with this lineup too. I think the Black Ace stuff was like 2 years ago. So I wouldn't expect them to do anything else the rest of the year. So just based on that, I agree. We'll just keep them in D.
Yeah.
Next up, Vatic Pro, A tier last time. The sagas were released after we did that. I think
Yeah.
the sagas pushed them up to S tier.
I agree. Yeah. Because previously they were just hanging on by the Prism line, and then the Onis had to drop them down to A because they were not legal. But I think the Sagas they're pretty good. I think that's enough to push them into S. And moving forward, I know they're as of now they're coming out with that wide body, the
Yep.
Saga Bloom and
Yep.
the Prism. So a bit late on that, but it was like a good addition. And then they're also coming out with like 14 millimeter variants of the
Okay.
Saga. So I think that's enough to keep them in S for like the time being. But I'm also anticipating like them coming out with something new before the end of the year too.
Oh yeah, I think it'll be like probably summer when they come out with something new. But a 14 millimeter saga sounds interesting. I could
Yeah.
see a 14 millimeter wide body saga being something.
Yeah, I think that'd be
might
really
like.
good.
Yeah, I think a lot of people like that, and that could be like a ESQ competitor. Who knows? Yeah, I agree. I think they'll stay S tier too. If they continue, I think they really just got messed up with that Oni
Yeah.
stuff, and I guess it's really not all their fault. I mean, it was probably going to be an issue either way with it breaking, but they didn't really know about the power testing cap thing being switched. So, what can you do? Pickleball Apes we had at C tier last time. Oh man, this one's hard for me because, and I didn't mention this, but really love their logo. Maybe we'll do a quick logo tier ranking sometime.
Yeah.
Nice logo. Enjoy
Yeah,
their
Rhombus,
stuff.
you're not gonna be an S tier after this.
Rhombus, Paddletech, Honolulu, Baddick, Spartus. I like Spartus. They redesigned their logo. I like their new logo. Bread and Butter's logo is good too. Yeah, we'll save that. We'll save that. You let us know in the comments if you want a logo ranking tier list. Don't know how many people are out there for that. But Pickleball Apes, C tier last time. I'd say they probably jump up to like A tier with their new Pulse lineup. I still have reservations about how much the paddle changes, and it sounds like some people's paddles don't change over time with the break-in. So, and I think they're getting it fixed, but I haven't really heard much actually lately. I don't know if you heard a lot lately about their fix to their break-in issue.
What's funny was when I was talking to one of the guys, and he was asking me if I want. So at the time, I didn't get a Pulse V because it was in stock. And when they were in stock, and I asked him if I could get it at that time, and he said, "Do you want the fixed one or the broken one?" And I was like,
Oh, jeez.
"Why would I want the broken one?" And he was like, "Well, some people like the break-in actually, even though it's not really supposed to." And I was like, "Oh, I mean, are you moving forward with like which one are you moving forward with? Like, are you going to keep them broken as is because some people like them, or do you want them to stay fixed?" And I haven't really checked any updates on that, so that was the last heard of it. But I actually did try the V about like a few hours ago, and I like the Pulse lineup a lot. They're just like really solid feeling, but I've had two, the S's are the ones I've used the most,
Mm-hmm.
and two of them have broken in. One of them is like extremely hot, where like you can't even like swing fully on putaways or else it just flies out.
Jeez.
I I personally think if they just didn't break in, they would be a lot better. As
Mm-hmm.
I do think there are some people that I've played with pulses that like it's actually kind of dangerous with how hot they get.
Jeez.
So you know.
Yeah, I think that's a big issue too. Is like, I think when you have that extreme break in, they're not all going to break in the same. They're probably going to play at different levels too. So I I don't know. What would you put it then? Like it's just a lot of factors going into it.
Yeah, I still like the feel. Like the original feel, like out of the box, is very nice. I think
Yeah.
it does need some tape to bump up the sweet spot a bit, but I would still go A tier for them.
Okay.
I think they jump up to A.
All right. We'll put them in A tier, especially if they got it fixed and they like the. And I know they came out. Or I don't know if it's out yet, but they do have like a normal elongated shape at 16.5 inches that
Yeah, I
they're
think
gonna
that
do.
got like delayed a bit until
Oh, okay.
March, but
Okay.
yeah. But I mean,
Okay.
I think moving forward, I think they continue with this pulse line. I think they'll probably stay in A for now.
Okay. Yeah, I could see that. They do take quite a while between launches as well. So, next up, Volair had them in B last time. Going to say they only had one launch, and it was basically a reskin paddle of their Volair Mach 1 and 2 Forza. They did it in Kevlar.
Yeah.
So, why would it take a year just to do a different surface? I don't know. Yeah, I'm not impressed with their 2024. Not impressed.
Yeah, I would drop them down to C. I think the Mach 2 Forza is probably one of their best paddles right now, and you know they didn't really do much in 2024. And moving on, like 2025, I can see them potentially going up into B tier, but I also feel like every one of their releases right now has kind of chased a trend. I think the only trend they really started was the wide body one, and that wasn't even like any new tech. It was just
Yeah.
wide bodies already existed.
I think it's going to be hard for them to jump up because they just timed it perfectly. Like they had a great wide, like the wide, I think it was like a unique wide body shape,
Yeah.
and it just was the right timing at the right place, got the right traction. I don't think you're going to need new technology to do this again. Like I think they just got really lucky to have all those things align, and now they need to do something with new tech. Just something. They got to do something new. It can't be chasing a trend, and they're a year late to the party. I mean,
Yeah.
if you're going to trend chase, it needs to be even sooner than a year.
It needs to be fast.
Yeah, you can't be a year late. So we'll see. I mean, like their stuff, but I hope they can do something in 2025. Vulcan. I think if you've been
That
on,
would definitely indeed.
if you've been on the podcast, it's not David's favorite, nor is it my favorite. They just a lot of lackluster stuff. Maybe they care more about their balls now. Maybe they're a ball company. I don't know. If they got something cooking in 2025, hit us up. I think Lucia is the main person over there. Hit us up. Let us see. We are down to try, but so far, Vulcan just struggling out there, which is weird to be like a major sponsor of the PPA and just not really be coming out with good paddles. So,
all the R&D budget went to paying to get the balls.
Oh my gosh! When I heard, they kept saying that the ball's been in development for like 2 to 3 years, and then I listened to like the KOT, was it King of the Court podcast, and Jimmy's on there like, yeah, they spent like 2 years developing this ball, and then the ball fails. Like basically, because all the pros are, the original ball, all the pros are like, we aren't playing with this. Like this ball is terrible, and it was bad. You could see it like would stop, it would bounce low, it would bounce high. It was so inconsistent. And then I'm like, you spent did you really spend 2 years developing this ball? Like, you didn't figure out the ball was bad then? And then, they go on there. And basically, like, the King of the Court podcast is kind of like a puppet. Not a puppet, but, like, they're spreading the good cheer for Vulcan because Tyler Lung's, like, a sponsored pro by Vulcan, right? And he's like, yeah, they went back to the lab, redesigned it on their own time. And I'm like, well, what if they took 2 years to design the first ball, which we know it's not true. Come on. Like,
there's no way.
Yeah, you spent 2 years to design the first one, and all of a sudden you can redesign it in a month and get out a new generation. I mean, come on. Who are we kidding, bro? We're not that dumb. That's all. I just had to say it. I just like, come on. Who are we fooling?
Yeah.
Head Pickleball. We put them in the D tier. I put them above Vulcan. You know what? Their Radical Knight is a good paddle, like in a vacuum if we don't count the spray on grit, the expensive price. I do like it. And their boom wasn't my favorite, but just not like they're overpriced. Coming out with the spray on grit on stuff, not really innovating anywhere. Just getting paddles into their pros' hands. Tennis company? I think any of these tennis companies, they have the resources to go to S tier. Like,
they just don't care.
I just thought of something. Why not, for one of these tennis companies, buy out one of the brands that's doing really well and just use that stuff?
I think Wilson at one point was like using Engage paddles.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like, what they have the money. Like, for them, I think they would just want to, like, get their presence established, and they have the resources to make that investment. Like, why not just get the quality already? Like, or like, I don't know. I'm just spitballing. What do you think about that?
You're saying we're gonna see like a head radical J2K in the future?
I don't know. I mean, it would be I feel like it's not a bad idea. It depends what they want to do. But, like, just getting these random paddles out there, and then, like, say, like, the Babolat, like, coming out with some crazy shapes, too. Like, like, just work with someone that knows the industry and get it out, get something out there. Like, and you got all the budget for marketing. I don't know.
Yeah, definitely. Fun fact, I forgot if I mentioned this last time, but person that won the men's league I play in, or one of the guys on the team that won the men's league, was using a head gravity. So we all got beat by a head gravity paddle.
You always get some long-time users with those classics, and it's interesting.
Like, nothing else has that same feel. I don't care about technology as long as it feels the same. I want this one.
I know one guy, he uses, like, one of the old Selkirk. I can't remember the name of the Selkirk, but it's, like, one of the ones that are, like, from 4 years ago. And he's like, they don't sell it anymore, but I'm not changing. And you can tell it's, like, very well used, like, probably has no grit left at all I'm sure that was a spray on grit. And it's just like, well, if you like it, you like it.
Yeah, it's just the feel.
Yep. Next up, Gearbox. We had them at S tier last time. What would you do with them now with all this, the PP being sunset/banned July 1st?
I want to say I would put them in A for now because they still have the wide body one. And like their stuff is like patented. It's unique. It's just really expensive. But I think depending on what come out next, they do have a lot of potential, and I do think they are going to get back into the S tier. But for now, because of that whole ban, and because of the price, I would drop them down to A.
Yeah, I would agree that it's kind of a big blow. Like, the PPU is the most, the Pro Power Elongated was the most unique paddle to them. And the other stuff, their Pro Ultimate stuff, it hits hard, just not as hard as some of the other stuff on this list. And they tend to have a problem with making their paddles, like, higher swing weight. And I'm not sure exactly, like, what the issue is, because I think a lot of them come in at, like, 8 ounces. So I guess just, like, a weight distribution thing. But they do feel heavier to swing, and I know, like, their replacement, their Pro, I don't even remember what it's called. Basically, a 14 millimeter elongated for the Ultimate is like 128 swing weight, and I'm like, whew, that's just kind of like a non-starter for a lot of people. And a big problem. But yeah, I mean, I got I know that they have some of the best R&D stuff and put a lot of good time into, or a lot of good resources into that. So I've got hopes for them, but that price, is oof, 280, 275. That's
Yeah.
it's a little high up there too. I think that stops a lot of people from buying them too. Uh, Franklin Pickleball got the at C tier last time. I know that they have a new Gen 3 paddle, but I think that's really only in the pros' hands right now, so can't really
Yeah.
factor that in. I I don't know. I could go. Yeah, it's just still C tier for me. I think like their Tempest Tour, sorry, not Tempest. Their Tour and Dynasty lineup.
Dynasties,
Yeah,
yeah.
good stuff.
Isn't that just like high swing weight, like Gen 2s,
Yeah,
basically?
it's basically like weighted up Gen 2s. In their 14 millimeter wide body, I guess I can't remember which one's the Tour, which is the Dynasty now, but like good stuff. And I never tried the 12 millimeter. And I think one thing that's good for them, like for the tennis company, they actually keep their prices low. I think like 150 for their paddles, so they're not going for the like that 200 price point. Um, I mean, if it's, of course, you can't get a good answer out of the pros because they're going to say the paddle's amazing, but they say it's amazing, the Gen 3. I'm sure it's good, but if their
Yeah.
if that paddle's a hit and they charge at like 150, 160, I could see them jumping up to A or S tier if it's really that good and they charge a low price. Like, I don't see why they couldn't get S tier with a solid value, high performance paddle.
Yeah. I mean, I would say C for now,
Yeah.
but depending on the power paddle, it has the potential to go up to like A. I feel like the price would probably jump up to 200, but even if it's good and it's at 200, I think it's fair.
Yeah. I hear you. I hear you. Adidas. Oh, okay. I was like, did I even put them on this list? I don't think they had a launch. They're. I think they do have something coming soon. I've seen like pictures. I think they're definitely in danger of falling off this list completely. I mean, at least they did try some innovation with the metal bone, but that was just one paddle, one shape, one thickness.
Did Rafa even use the metal bone or did he use something else?
I'm not sure. I feel like he used like either he used a metal bone that was black, like I thought it was like all black. I don't know. I feel like I feel like he's been using their new paddle for a while. I don't know how long he's been using it, and I don't know when it's coming out. I don't see a lot of marketing for. You would think like I know their Adidas Pickleball is like a license from Adidas. It's not actually Adidas running it, so it's a third party running Adidas. They run like a Adidas Padel as well.
Gotcha. Okay.
So and they're really big in Padel, but yeah, the pickleball one they don't do that much marketing, and I don't really know when their next paddle is coming out. So we'll see. I mean, I could see them jumping up this year. They got let's say they got the resources, but it's not actually Adidas. But I would imagine they're one of the leading brands in Padel, so I imagine they do have resources for this, and it seems like they're interested because they have. Well, Rafa Hewitt. I think they have a couple other pros that are sponsored, so they're definitely sinking.
Like APP ones.
Okay, it's mostly was it like William Sobek, I think, at one point, and yeah, so they're putting resources into it. I just don't know where the resources are going into paddles because you think like why are you paying so much for pro sponsorships, but you're not actually trying to sell paddles?
Yeah. And I feel like they make a lot on Padel already, so if I were them, I would probably just stick to Padel. And not
Go back to Padel. We'll see. We'll see what they
probably
do.
make more money off Padel.
Oh,
I
for sure right
Padel
now.
paddle. Yeah.
Next up, and I don't know if he wore this shirt just for this reason. I'm not sure if he did it. 11/6/24. Yes, that is the name of a paddle company. If you are unfamiliar with them, put the hood. Yeah. Also, I would like to note for the record, he bought this shirt himself. Okay. He bought the shirt himself.
This was not sent to me. I don't. Most of the clothes don't get sent to me.
Yeah.
I actually pay for them.
This man is a fan of paddle companies. Okay, he'll go out and buy. He really likes hoodies. I'm not saying that he wouldn't like. You don't have. You could send him a hoodie. It's not going to go into any like decision making though, and he might just buy it himself. So maybe, whatever. 11,624. We had him at S tier last time. What'd they do, David? Are they still S tier?
Oh, for sure. I would probably put them at the top of S tier right now, honestly.
Why would you do that?
They had a really good releases with the Monarch series, going wide body, and then I mean the Hirachi was still good, but I guess if we're factoring in 2024, it was like those, and then the Jelly Beans, which they have the elongated the Hirachi, and then wide body Monarch. So they came really swinging into the beginner paddle market, did really well there, and then their wide body paddles were all really good. And I'm also kind of factoring that like in the future, like for 2025, I'm anticipating them being like top paddle company of 2025 with how they're redoing the lineup with that 3x3 matrix. They've got the control lineup, which is their Jelly Bean, and then their all courts, which they're redoing their current like Hirachi and Monarch all court styles. I want to say it's like a Gen 1.5 paddle, but with like a different face layup. Those I haven't tried yet, but I'm really looking forward to those. And I've been hitting the power paddles a bit. So they have that 3x3 grid, like 3 different paddle types and then 3 models or 3 shapes. So then now they have a hybrid in the Vapor. Yeah, that whole lineup I think is just like really much clearer to understand. And I think it's going to be one of the top ones for 2025.
I hear you. I did get to spend some time with the Vapor Power paddle. Actually played it in a Moneyball mixed tournament yesterday. Yeah, yesterday. And I'll say I was impressed. I was impressed with the performance. I brought that in the Olympus just in case, hadn't had too much time with the Vapor Power, so I wanted to make sure I had the backup, but I was impressed with their performance. It definitely has that Gen 3 sound when you lay it, you get some big swings. It's got that, I don't know how you like the thunk. I guess you would say.
It's pretty loud.
Yeah, it's loud. I got some comments about how loud it was. So yeah, if the durability holds up, it's going to be, and especially I think I'm sure they'll keep it at a good price. All their stuff has been very well priced. I could definitely I could see them competing for that top spot. Yeah. I was impressed. And I knew they got a new all-court lineup coming out, but I don't think either of us have hit that yet, right? So
no, yeah, I think they're not approved right now,
which
is why he hasn't really sent them yet.
Okay, so we'll see what happens there, but it'll be good. They'll have a control lineup in all shapes, like you said, and all-court and power. And that kind of brings us into the next company we're going to talk about, Chorus Pickleball.
Let me give a quick shout out.
Hold on, shout out.
For those of you that are in the Northern Virginia area, I am hosting a demo day for 11/6/24 for all 9 of their paddles. Shoot me a DM on Instagram or send me an email if you're interested. But February 1st at Dill Dinkers in Manassas, I will be hosting that. So let me know if you're interested in coming out, and I can send you a registration link.
There you go. Dill Dinkers. Hit them up. Tickle My Pickleball on Instagram. It's probably the best place to hit you up, right?
Yeah, probably.
Or Discord, if you know. Sorry for your shout out. Killed my transition though. Chorus Pickleball. They're also doing the 3x3. Actually, yeah. I guess they're doing a 4x3 matrix, right? I'm gonna go 4x3. Does that make sense?
Hold on. Actually, is it Echo, Shapeshifter, Super Court? Yeah, 4x3.
Yeah, so basically they have a control for all 3 shapes, and then they'll kind of have 2 all-court options, one at the lower end of all-court, one at the, more towards power. So they'll have their shapeshifters at the lower end, and then the Super
Echo's at the lower end.
Well, in the all-court. So you got Echo, and then the shapeshifter. So shapeshifter is like all-court leaning control, and then the Super Court is all-court leaning power, and then you have the fires at the power level. So you got all those, all pretty good priced, and I've hit them all now. I'm pretty impressed. I would say that the Super Courts are my favorite of everything. The Super Court specifically, HX would be my favorite of all the paddles.
I was just hitting that an hour ago.
Yeah, you like it?
Yeah. Yeah, that one's my favorite. I like that a lot better than the fires. I would actually say they hit like unweighted. The super courts hit harder than the fires do.
Power and pop, or just power?
Just power.
Okay. Yeah, I I'll have to do a little bit more on that. I would say definitely I know the fires have more pop than the super courts, but the super courts had a lot more pop than I thought
Yeah.
uh, when I first got them. But yeah, and they don't feel like stiff. They feel nice, and like it's more of like a springiness for their feel, and like I like them a lot. They look good too. I like the look of the super courts. I don't know what the prices on those are going to be, but those are coming out January 27th, so pretty soon.
Yeah.
And last time we talked, I think we only had the shapeshifter, really. Right, that was
Yeah,
it,
they
right?
only have the
Shapeshifter,
shapeshifter, yeah.
one hybrid shape. That's it. So they've done a lot in the last couple of months. Like, and I guess they're not all out yet, but so they really ramped up there. I got them in S tier now.
Yeah, for me, I personally would go top of A, and my reasoning is I think they're the biggest competitor to 11624 in 2025. But I don't think they have one paddle that is really like stands out with their tech right now.
Okay.
11624 has their power paddles, and
Yep.
then their Gen 1.5 is going to be new. But if you look at the Horse lineup, like Echo, that's just the Gen 2 thermoformed, and then same thing with the shapeshifter, but with different surface layers, and then even the super quartz, basically the CFC. I mean, 'cause that's their surface. I think it's like a popular version of it, but at its core, it's the Gen 2 CFC. And then the Fire is like the only one that's like slightly different, but I think it's just like a really stiff and poppy 14 millimeter paddle. And honestly, I'm not a big fan of the Fires,
Okay.
which is probably why I'm kind of biased in putting it at A.
Okay.
But I think they have potential to be S. I think they just really need like one paddle that's like a flagship, like this is our technology. I think they try to do that with the Fires, but personally, I just don't think it was like a really good power paddle or
Yeah.
anything.
No, I hear you. I think like for both of us, the fires kind of like didn't completely hit home for like what we were expecting.
Yeah.
And it seems like for some people it did. I think the reviews on the Fire series were probably like the most widely different I've seen for a paddle series. And I've seen a lot of people that really really love them. And I guess my factoring too is kind of like just looking at things in the total, like having all those different options, all those different shapes at good price points, and I really really like the super courts. I know it's not. I guess it's not a super like unique. It's not a proprietary technology with the
Yeah.
super courts. I just think with the mix of everything involved and the balance, like the HX super court, I think maybe it's not their like unique technology, but with all the combination, I think it could be a flagship paddle. Kind of like
I think actually now that I think about it, what their molds are
yeah.
unique to them, and I think because of that, I'll put them up in S.
All right. I guess I didn't convince you, but you convince yourself. I'll take it. But yeah,
I forgot about the molds are unique, so I'll give them that.
I that's another thing. I'm glad you actually brought that up because I do like their SX shape a lot. Their wide body. I think that's a really really good shape for a wide body. Um, and then the I can't say it. The hybrid shape is fine too. Elongated shape. I don't know. Like elongated shapes like are all kind of like similar to me. I know like some people have some preference. They're all just in the same boat for me, I guess. Like I know they're different, but not as a strong opinion on the elongated shapes, just personally. But
For
course,
those of you in the course Discord, Team HX over here.
Team HX all day. Go check out the chorus Discord if you want to know what that's all about. Next up, Mavericks Pickleball. We had them at B tier last time. I think not much has changed, so I would still say B tier.
I think they did have some 2024 releases. They just weren't anything major. Like what they had the Clash in the 15s, and they had that like was it like a power paddle? I think we both got sent it, but we didn't get really any information. So I didn't really hit it. I don't know if you did.
I hit it a little bit, but yeah, it's still not. Actually, I haven't heard much from them lately. I don't know what they're doing. But yeah, if and it wasn't. It's probably more of like. It's not. It's probably more of like along the super courts, like like not all the way in that because it's not a Gen 3, so it's not as powerful as some of the like the 11624, or the Ripple, or even the Paddle Techs. And I'm not really sure like what direction the brand's going. I know they're really focused on like their branding and marketing, but sometimes I feel like they are also slow. It's kind of like a Sparta situation. They're very slow to innovate. And I don't know actually. I won't say that like Tile and Spartus, because like Spartus had a very unique paddle in Olympus. I don't think Mavericks has really had it. Besides their shapes, they haven't had any unique technology, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
I think B tier, and they also. Oh, I guess they did lower their prices, but still like maybe above average pricing. I don't know. I could see them going anywhere this year. Like maybe they got something cooking. I haven't really heard much from them, so I don't know. They're okay.
I feel like they haven't really innovated beyond their shape, and then because of that, I don't see them really. I'm anticipating them dropping this C. But
yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
They prove me wrong.
Fair enough. Speed Up Pickleball, C tier last time. They had one launch this year. It was a Pyro and a Cryo. Supposedly a power paddle and a control paddle. I think we both agreed that their power paddle was not a power paddle.
Yeah.
And super niche paddle too, with that super long handle.
Yeah, it's like, I think the handle is just too long. Like, it is a really nice feeling handle, but it just gets to the point where you have to add a lot of your own weight to the head. But like unweighted, there is no weight at the head right now, and when you swing it, you're just like no plow through.
Yeah.
So it's like a really niche market for who these paddles are for.
Yeah, I think sometimes length, you get too long, it has diminishing returns, and then sometimes it definitely becomes a negative. Like too long, sometimes it can be too long. So
definitely,
for sure. So we'll put it in C tier. I know I don't expect anything from them. They took a long time to come out with something again, so I don't know. I mean, I like their Isux because they have good molded handles, and the owner's a nice guy, but I feel like you really you can't be so focused on only one thing that's so like niche. Like you need a little bit of variation. Like you have that technology, put it in a couple of shapes. Maybe you had a normal elongated shape. Maybe that power paddle would actually be powerful, but the face is so small, the sweet spot's so small. It just is hard to realize even if you had a power paddle. Yeah. Next up, Mark Pickleball. We had him in B tier last time. I think since their Mark 1 and 1X and 2, they have done nothing. Am I correct in that? Yeah. Did they do anything after that?
Yeah, they haven't done much. I mean, like the 1, the 2, and the 1X are still good. Like the 1X was, to my knowledge, like the first hybrid to go with like long handles, so they had that unique mold there. I really like that one. I would say like their old kinetic paddle was really good. I think if they had kept that one, they would be a bit higher, but because I just feel like their new lineup made the paddles a bit too soft, and they're a bit more for like beginner intermediate players in my opinion. But again, like they didn't really release much beyond that. Like they just have 3 Kevlar paddles. I do see them potentially going up. They've been quiet for a bit, so maybe they're cooking something. I can see them like jumping up higher, but yeah, I think because didn't do much, might have to drop them down to C.
Yeah, I agree with that assessment. When we left off the tier list last time, but not by our intentions. Just completely forgot. And when you get like 30 something paddle companies, even more, like we've hit with even more, it's just hard to sometimes get all of them, like just bound to miss one, right?
Yeah.
But Neonic, and we did say that they were A tier, in the comments last time. But since then, Flow Prime X, Flare Prime X, Flare Prime Titanium, I think they moved up to S tier with some good hits and amazing pricing. Would you agree, or would you keep them in A still?
Yeah, I would say like low S. I remember when I was thinking about Neonic last time, I kept them in A because like they were really affordably priced, but they did have a good variety. And what's unique to them is the flow shape. That's like one of the hybrids that's got like one of the lowest twist weights, like lowest stability. But because of that, like it's got more room for customization. And if you like to have like really wrist heavy shots, like really aggressive flicks, like it cuts through like really fast. Like that's like the one thing about the flow that's very nice. So I think because of that, and the Flare Prime X was the one where I thought like, okay, depending on how the Flare Prime X plays, it's either going to stay in A or go up to S. And personally, I really like the Flare Prime X, and I think that's enough to bring them up to S. I didn't like the Flow Prime X as much. I'm also just not a big fan of the Flow itself. But
Gotcha.
for me, like I do think it's unique. I think a lot of people, will like that paddle. But yeah, for now, like low S tier for me.
Yeah, I like the Flare Prime X, and I agree the Flow Prime X wasn't anything like it was just it was. I think that if they released the 14 millimeter at the time, it would have.
I think the 14 millimeter would have been really nice.
Yeah, that would have hit a spot. Going forward, I would expect some stuff coming out from them. That seems like they're getting like ramped up. Like they were kind of slow for a while getting stuff going, but I think they're more on top of the ball now. But in danger of falling out of the S tier if they don't get something, because I think that their stuff at this time is really good, but I could see it being vulnerable to getting passed up by some competition coming out. So that's it. ISO, we did not rank them last time, but I feel like since we both really like the Ryu, I throw them on the list for this one, and I give them an inaugural ranking of B. And
it's tough because they only have two paddles.
Yeah, it's a tough one. All S tier
like
logo.
The fabric is fine. It's it's a really good cheap hybrid. It's a bit like heavier on the swing weight because the length is 16.4. But the Ryu is really good. Like probably like the cheapest Gen 3 type of paddle right now. It's not a power paddle, but it's a good like big sweet spot. Good power and pop for like an all court style, but because they're just a new company, like I can see them going up to A with like if they come out with like more shapes and then also coming out with more releases. But right now it's just like it's two paddle releases and they were like staggered pretty far apart. So, yeah, I think they do need to speed up like their releases, or just like have more shape options for us.
Yeah. It's good, too, that they kind of had some good, I mean, I guess it's not original technology, but they did it in a different way. So it's showing that even though they're a small company, they're willing to try new things and not just make like a generic paddle. So hopefully they can get something going. I like their looks and their logo. So I'm hoping they can do something. I swear I put the image in here, but we'll just talk. We'll just talk about it. My bad. I literally put it in here. I don't know why it's not showing up. Who Def Pickleball. 3 of our biggest fans: Ariana Wilson, Lewis Brown, and do you remember the last one?
Oh, I'm blanking right now.
There's a third one. Sorry, I forget your name. 3 of our biggest fans, always talking about Who Def paddles. They always comment at the same time, too. That's crazy that 3 of the biggest Who Def fans always comment on the same time, and they comment on every paddle reviewer's YouTube at the same time. I don't know. Like I can't figure it out. I can't figure it out. Who they're just really big Who Def fans. David's more of the Who Def expert than I am. I haven't hit with all Who Def's lineup. David, what would you give Who Def?
Where did we have them last time again? Were
I
they
believe we had them in A tier. I want to say.
Okay. So 2024, they had the Viva Pro Gen 3, which was was decent. Like it was their Viva Pro Gen 2 was already pretty good, and the Gen 3 was just like a softer version. So it was kind of like the Mark II paddle. The Mage Pro, so the original one, that one was it was like how I described the Neonic Flow, where it's like that shape is just really fast for flicks, and then they had the Mage Pro Gen 2. So that was a standard, no, it was a hybrid shape, but it was like 16.1. So it was like barely a hybrid paddle. Like if anything, it was like very close to being like standard shape. So pretty high twist weight. It was like a bit on the stiffer end. And I think they had the potential to like do like another good release, but then they kind of went with like a really strange choice with that Luxury Gen 1, where they made a clone of the Lux, which is a very strange move from them. And I think because of that, that kind of like brought their ranking down a bit. Like I would say like potentially still a high A, because they are pretty affordable and they do have a pretty diverse options. But I will say for 2025, like they need to figure something out, like in terms of newer technology to like stay in that A tier, or else they're gonna drop, because the Lux or the Luxury Gen 1 almost dropped them down to B for me.
All right. Fair enough. I'm going to trust that ranking. Who Def, just imagine you are in this A tier. Sorry about that image not being there.
You've got another one, right?
Yeah, Thrive Pickleball. They came out with the Azul and I believe, the Surge?
Yeah, and the Blackout.
And the Blackout. Is the Blackout an official release or is it a limited release?
I do not know. I didn't get one.
I didn't play with the Blackout either. I would put them like, and then of course they have the unique thing where you can pick their swing weight. I don't know if that's still a thing. Basically, they're not like building a custom swing weight for you. They're just measuring the paddles like we do with the graffiti, getting the swing weight and
just labeling them.
Yep. Which, I mean, is a good feature because a lot of people like to be able to pick it. Their stock swing weight. I think we had them in B tier last time, or maybe we didn't rank them last time. I was kind of thinking B tier. It seems like they have like good quality paddles. It's just like not a lot of variety. Not variety in shapes either. So, what would you in the pricier too? At least they're Azul. I don't know what they're charging for the Blackout. It sounds like the Blackout would have been a good one to try. It just wasn't really made available.
Yeah, because like their releases this year were basically hybrid shape paddles. So I think they were all around like 200. Like the Azul was the only really like unique one. But I will ding points because I just hear a lot of like quality control issues with that one.
Breaks a lot.
Yeah, like the Surge was really like a softer double black diamond, and then I want to say the Blackout is probably a black diamond, like really similar to that. They still have their elongated 13 and 16 millimeters, but yeah, other than the Azul, they don't really have much that like makes them stand out. They're really a company that just made a feature out of a bug. So like the whole manufacturing variants, they just turned that into a feature. Like, oh, now you can select your swing weight. I don't know how many people really care about that, and it's like a nice feature. But yeah, like you said, it's okay.
Yeah.
I would say B, because they are a bit on the pricier end to offer that feature. If you like that, then fine. But I would still say like, yeah, I don't know, maybe top of B for me.
Okay. Fair enough. And then the last one on here is Proton Pickleball, which we are not going to rank at this time because we just don't have enough experience with them. But hopefully we'll get getting some more experience, and they have a lot of new or I don't know if they have a lot of new paddles, but they have some paddles that have been hyped up a lot coming out soon. So definitely we'll be putting that onto our list. I know if I did not talk about it, we get some comments, so I just wanted to throw that out there. But they'll be on our list next time. Any other companies that you wanted to talk about, or are we ready to wrap this list up?
Just taking a quick look at my inventory, but yeah, no logos
Yeah.
really stand out.
I've
That's
got
like
something
big
like
enough that we both hit.
Reload, but they only have one paddle. That one's kind of hard to rank.
Picklin's the other one I can think of, but I don't think you've really hit them.
Picklin?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have enough experience to say anything on them. And then you got like stuff like, was it next gen? Is it next gen's Pro Star? Next gen Sport? That's like a one
Uh,
off. Are they still making? Are they in business still?
I don't know. I've actually never heard of this one.
Okay. Yeah, I think we're good. I think we're good. Gotta
No,
leave
we'll
a
find
couple.
out in the comments
Gotta
later.
leave a
So,
yeah. Gotta leave a couple out so someone can be like, "What about my paddle?" Um,
yeah.
I mean, if we didn't do it, what joy could we give you?
Yeah.
So, like I said, create your tier list if you disagree with our list or you want to just have a fun exercise. And tag us on Instagram if you make one. Tag us both and shout us out in the comments here what you agreed with, what you don't agree with, what was the most overrated, the most underrated, the best take, whatever you want to comment on. We appreciate it all. We'll be back in another 3 months to do one of these and give you a quarterly update because there's a ton of stuff coming out in the first quarter. So we'll want to.
February's gonna be big.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna be working overtime, a little OT, and I don't know if they're gonna pay me OT, but we'll see.
I wish.
Any final thoughts for the tier list, David?
No, I think this is good. It's a good starting place for 2025 for now. But I'm excited to see like what future paddle releases people come out with and how this is going to get shaken up in the next episode.
For sure. That's all we got. Tune in next time. That's it. See ya.